On this week's show, Peloton's seasonal schedule changes are here, plus there are changes to Peloton's referral program.
Plus, changes to Peloton's warranty program, the first perks for Club Peloton are here, and much, much more.
Welcome to Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. Here are your hosts, Amanda Siegel and Chris Lewis.
Welcome to episode 242 of Pelo Buddy TV, a show by the community for the community. I'm Chris Lewis, founder of Pelo Buddy, and I'm joined this week by Jamie, Pedal to Paris. How are you, Jamie?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for joining us this week.
Hey, of course. Happy to pinch hit.
You know, there's a lot going on, so we're just going to jump straight into the news. But real quick before we do, we like to remind everyone how you can stay up to date with us. You can find the show on YouTube. Just search for Pelo Buddy and you'll find the show there. We're on all traditional podcast platforms. Just search for Pelo Buddy TV. And then we're on social media. Just search for Pelo Buddy on Instagram, Facebook, X, all of those channels, and you can keep up with the show. And with that, let's just jump right into the news.
First, let's do a rundown of the latest Pelo news.
Well, Peloton's seasonal schedule updates took effect this week. It is something that Peloton does a few times a year, and we will see some of our favorite instructors getting new regular time slots on the live schedule. You'll see regular classes targeted at West Coast members as well. They're going to have live classes at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Right now, it's starting off with Hannah and Camila having those classes, but it's nice to see some good time slots for our friends on the West Coast. It also aligns with adjustments being made to the overall schedule at PSNY. It's featuring less live classes on Mondays and Tuesdays, as has been previously mentioned on the show. And it's also taking effect starting this week, where members will only be in studio all day Thursday through Sunday, no more Monday member classes.
Yeah, so it's not really a reduction because before it was like late Thursday to early Monday. So now we're kind of shifting everything 12 hours. So it's full day Thursday and just none of that half day on Monday. So probably going to be about the same number of classes, but depending on, you know, if you're out of town, when you travel, that may end up impacting you. But I know a lot of people are excited about those later classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays becoming a more regular thing.
Yeah, there's quite a few member classes on the Thursdays. I'm headed up there next week, so I've been scouring the schedule for wait lists and classes that I want to take, and hopefully I'll be able to stand by for some extra time once I land in New York.
Good luck with that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this week we also had a fairly large outage impact Peloton. On Thursday, starting around 1:30 p.m. Eastern, reports started coming in of people unable to take classes. It turned out this was only impacting on-demand classes. So live classes were still working for some reason, as well as audio-only classes. Peloton posted around 2 p.m. that they were kind of looking into the outage, but no real ETA for the fix. Around 4 p.m., they posted that they had found a fix for it and it should be resolved. And then 10 minutes later posted, sorry, we're still seeing some outages. Around 5:30, they finally posted that it was fully resolved, but that ended up being around a 4-hour outage where people were unable to take on-demand classes. So, you know, if you work out, depending on where you live in the morning or night, you weren't really impacted this. But if you lived in the UK or just work out in the middle of the day in the US, you might have come across this and been unable to take your classes.
I experienced that today myself. I thought it was just me, but I was going back and forth between the bike and the tread, trying to figure out, you know, resetting, starting over, and then started seeing the posts online and felt a little bit better that it wasn't just me.
Yeah, it's always good to know it's just not your. I mean, it's terrible when it's all down, but it's good to know it's not just you and something you did wrong.
Yes.
Well, we've been sharing over the last week or so a lot of news about the new Peloton cross-training equipment and all that news that dropped. And one thing that came up was that Peloton's chief product officer, Nick Caldwell, took part in an AMA, and he was specifically asked about whether there were plans for an upgrade kit. Little context, right now there is no trade-in program for your old devices or upgrade. The only way to get the new cross-training devices right now is to buy an entirely new one. There are some discount codes that they sent out if you're an existing member, but it's still $2,000 and up for those. But Nick Caldwell was asked about plans for upgrade, and he said, we don't have plans for upgrade kits yet, but this is the most frequent request I'm getting. I thought the yet was telling there. Didn't rule it out entirely, clearly not there yet. And he also, clearly Peloton is getting a lot of feedback of people who want, those upgrade kits, because it's $600-700 for a new monitor, a lot easier to swallow than $2,000 to $6,000, depending on what device you're looking with. We did ask, and Peloton did say that if there is an upgrade kit, the upgrade is more involved than just a screen swap. We had previously heard from Peloton executives that in particular on the Tread Plus, that an upgrade might involve actually changing wires that run from the screen down to the base. So like the entire arm assembly would have to be removed to swap that. It's not clear if that's also the case for the bike or the Row. The one interesting thing is there was some beta testing done for these. So people had the kind of guide screens built in, and they were able to beta test these on the existing bike pluses that weren't cross-training. So it seems like it's possible to do that. So it's not clear what the whole talk about, not being a simple screen swap comes in. So we'll have to see if they walk that back down the road and they're just playing a fine line trying to drive new sales, or if there really is, the final product might have had something different. We're just not sure. But all we know is at this point, we have been told that bringing the camera features are more involved than a simple screen swap.
I will be anxiously awaiting those updates. So, well, with the launch of the new cross-training hardware lineup, Peloton has also made some changes to their referral program. Previously, instead of earning a $100 apparel gift card, members will now receive 1 free month of all access membership, which is a $50 value in the US. So now the incentive for the new customers using the referral link has also been updated. Previously, the person got a $100 discount on their hardware purchase, but under the new structure, it's going to be tiered, different amounts and discounts based on what product they're going to be purchasing, which actually I think is a great improvement. And honestly, I mean, I'll miss apparel credits for the few referrals that I have, but I think most general members will appreciate the discount on the membership more than the apparel credits. So, the downside of that is that starting next year, they are also going to be reducing the maximum number per member of referrals that you can have per year. It's currently 6, and it'll be going to 4 next year.
Yeah, it was 12 back in 2022, and in 2022 is when they dropped it to 6, and it's been like that for 3 years now, and now we're saying it dropped down to 4. So, if you've still got friends out there, you might want to try to get them referred this year so you can have more slots for your limited number that you have next year.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that they would reduce that considering the push that they're making for new members. I would think that it would almost, that the limit would be a lot higher to just encourage you to bring people into the fold that are brand new. But
you would hope they'd be saying the limit does not exist, but
crunched them and figured it out. But
yeah. Well, one other piece of news that changed recently was there's been some changes to the extended warranty program. When the new hardware came out, all of the devices increased in prices. It was anywhere from like $200 more for the cross-training bike plus to I think it might be $600 more for the new bike. Well, the warranty prices are going up as well. We've got a post on our website that kind of has the full details of what those are and what it was before and after. The Tread went from $299 to $349. The Tread Plus went from $499 to $649. The bike was up from $149 to $169. So they range in there. But I thought one of the more interesting things was if they've actually changed that the price is different based on when you buy it. So before the cross-training devices came out, you had up to 1 year to buy the extended warranty. So you could buy it when you bought your device, or you could call Peloton up, at 365 days from when you bought it, say, hey, I want to have the extended warranty on, same exact price. Starting now, the price is actually going to be different based on when you buy it. So if you buy it at the time of purchase, up to 30 days from them, it's one price. And then if you buy it 30 days to a year, you're going to pay $50 to $100 more. So if you know you want the warranty, you probably want to go ahead and buy it, because otherwise you're going to end up paying, $50 more down the road. So another change that rolled out with the cross-training hardware.
I feel like that's smart, because I don't know why I waited on my Tread Plus till later to add on the 3 years or whatever it was at the time, which I knew I was probably going to do the extended warranty. So
split up the purchase a little bit. You just spent $6,000 on it and saved that extra $400 for a year to pay it off.
That maybe would have been my thought process back in 2020, I guess, when I got my Tread Plus. But yes, so we are also seeing the very first perks for the new Club Peloton have arrived. So in case you missed it, on last week's show, Club Peloton is the new reward and loyalty system that Peloton launched last week. Members earn points for things like high fives, milestones, consistency in working out, and many other incentives to keep you involved in the community. They teased at the time that you would get rewards such as invites to events, early access to classes and challenges, and apparel discounts, depending on what level you are in Club Peloton. Well, we've seen the first, they've come out with discounts on Peloton apparel on the website. You sign in under your username, and the discounts are automatically applied on top of a majority of the purchases. So the current offer, it ranges from 5% off for members that are bronze, 10 for silver, 15 for gold. Champions get 20% off, and Legends, which is currently their highest level, gets 25% off of their purchases. So of course there are exclusions for things that it does not apply to. There's a detailed article on the Pelo Buddy website. But again, I did think it was interesting that the discounts are stackable with other sales and a lot of other offers. I have been on a bit of an apparel detox personally, and that was enough to get me to go on the site and check things out, and may encourage me to do a little bit of shopping. And I don't want to hear it from any of my friends because they know what my closet looks like, but that could end up being, when they have their big sales, another however much percent on top of that, make things almost too hard to pass up.
Yeah, I think there's a 40% off site-wide sale happening now. So now you've got that 40% off. You stack the 25% on top of it. The discounts do kind of get up there. And they do actually, I know a lot of people were wondering, is that going to apply to the Lululemon gear? It does apply to a lot of it. The main things it doesn't, like you can't use this for a gift card, but it doesn't apply to kind of the wellness essentials and accessories. So like the weights or the Theraguns or Hyper Ices they have in there. So some of those, kind of third-party branded hardware type things is what it doesn't apply to. I do think one of the other things they tease that Club Peloton is going to get you is early access to classes and challenges. It's going to be real interesting to see what they mean by early access to classes and how that works in practice. I'm curious to see what they do with that.
So am I. But I definitely like the idea of it. I tend to high five people in classes and things like that, but it is an extra encouragement, I think, for some people that might not already do it. If they're going to see tangible things like apparel discounts or things that, early access to classes, something that they actually want.
At the end of the day, this is all about making people less likely to churn. And, if you can get you going back every week to get some more points, you're more likely to stay and you're more likely to keep your membership. So, at the end of the day, I think it's trying to help their bottom line and kind of drive people to stay involved. But if we get some benefits out of it, great.
Yes.
Well, Peloton is continuing to open more micro stores. We've shared over the past year or so how Peloton plans to close all of their legacy retail stores by next summer. Again, that does not include PSNY and PSL. Those aren't considered traditional legacies. Those are kind of separate standalones. But they are opening 4 new micro showrooms in the near future. One is going to be in Natick, Boston. One's going to be in Las Vegas, Nevada. One is going to be in Short Hills, New Jersey. And one is going to be outside of Seattle and Linwood, Washington. So they hope to have 10 of these micro stores open by the holiday season. I think this puts them up to number 5 or 6 with these. So they're well on their way to getting those first 10 open in time for the holiday season. And all of these should have the new cross-training hardware available to try. Now, they might not have all 5 varieties because you've got Bike Plus, Tread Plus, and Row Plus. It's possible they might only have Tread Plus and not Tread or some combination, but they should have, Peloton's only selling the cross-training line now, so they should have cross-training in these mall kiosks.
And I'm hoping that the next list of locations that's released includes Atlanta.
It will.
I miss our store.
Perimeter Mall in Atlanta is where that's going to be.
So come on, Peloton. What are you waiting for? Next up, Hyatt will be doing a takeover at Peloton Studios in New York later this month, October 23rd. All of the morning classes at PSNY have been bought out by Hyatt for their card holders. So they have offerings in most modalities. It's a very wide range of classes. And in addition to the Peloton classes that will be available, in the morning, they're going to wrap up with a well-being panel. It's going to be led by Mariana and Chelsea Jackson Roberts. And that each set, it's an interesting setup. It is $100 per entry, but that is for you and a friend. And so it's that way for the classes, and then the panel is actually separate. So you can do either 2 classes, or you can do a class and a panel, but each member can take advantage of 2 different activities that day if they so choose to do so. You would book that on the World of Hyatt Experiences website. And there's, again, tons of classes all morning. You could do 6:30 a.m. run with or ride with Olivia, run with Matt. They've got yoga with Chelsea at 7:30. There's a strength class with Jess Sims, a run with Mariana, some Pilates with Aditi, and then, of course, closed up by the panel at 10:30. So a great way to spend a morning in New York.
Yeah. And I mean, so that's 2 classes and it's $50 a person, essentially. The normal class is $35. So it is at a premium, but they do say you're going to get some extra swag and stuff. So maybe that makes up for the extra cost. I don't know. But at the time we are recording, all of those classes actually are still available to book. But we've got the link to it over on the Pelo Buddy website if you want to go check that out and try to get into those.
Good luck. Sounds fun.
And then one of the other new things that rolled out this last week was a new look on the Peloton bike, tread, all the hardware really, and the Peloton app. It included a new UI, which basically turned dark mode, essentially became the default. It's now a black background with white text on the screen. People have thoughts and feelings on that. Some people love it, some people don't. But one of the biggest thing is people are wondering, well, why can't I change it? And Peloton customer support has stated that the developer is actually working on that, and they plan to add a toggle so that you can toggle between light mode and dark mode. So whichever is your favorite, you should be able to change to whichever one suits your preferences on the app. I don't know if they said, I don't believe that will apply to the hardware devices themselves. That UI might just be the UI, or they might be working on it there. But when they said they were working on a toggle, it was in reference to the app. So no clue how long that's going to take. Sometimes they wait and bundle it with other features that are on the schedule, or sometimes they do it as a more hot fix, quick release. So we'll just keep an eye on that and see when they add a toggle to go between light mode and dark mode in the app.
Yes, I've definitely seen a lot of comments on that. And it is a pretty drastic change visually. So
one thing I've seen a lot of people talking about is it is visual impairment. Like, so there's some people who can't read white text on black background. So for some, it's more of an accessibility, and they can't even use the app in that situation. And so it's, for some people, it's less of a preference and more of a just makes it unusable. But I don't know if that's a lot more common than people who can't read, black text on a white background or vice versa. So
well, hopefully that will accelerate them making it an option, accessibility. So Peloton has also launched some new personal goals. They've expanded its personalized plans feature with 2 brand new goal options that promote longevity and boost cardio fitness. So previously, they only had two goals available: build strength and support weight goals. The personalized workout plans essentially deliver a weekly workout plan based on the members' personal preferences and their past workout history. So some descriptions directly from Peloton for under promote longevity. It says, each week you'll focus on cardio, strength, and stretching to enhance your quality of life during the years lived in good health, also known as health span. The plan is designed to focus on vitality, mobility, and flexibility while also protecting muscle mass. And then the Boost Cardio Fitness says each week you'll focus on prioritizing consistent aerobic activity and interval training. The plan is intended to focus on improving stamina, circulation, and energy. So I think these are very interesting, these personal goals. I think there are some groups outside of Peloton, like Hardcore on the Floor, that have provided, personalized plans for people that have been very successful. And, a lot of times people always wonder, why isn't Peloton doing something like this? And I feel like a lot of the things that they've been launching with these personal goals or personalized plans are really addressing that and make it super easy for people who don't want to scroll through and figure out what classes they want to take. They just want to be told, follow a plan and go do it. So
I guess that's the one big difference between this and some of those plans like Hardcore on the Floor or Power Zone Pack or any of those, is that those are not personalized. Those are structured and designed by, to target a certain goal, but they're not necessarily personalized to any one person. Whereas this kind of, in theory, has the ability to tailor it a little more towards your preferences and give you specific classes tailored towards you and personalize a little bit more. And, Peloton first rolled these out around a year ago. They kind of relaunched it as part of the launch 2 weeks ago. Personalized plans are one of the highlight features of the new Peloton IQ. And that is one of the features that is available on the original series devices as well. It was there before. Now it's kind of rebranded under Peloton IQ, but that's on both the original series hardware and the new cross-training hardware. And then Peloton's been rolling out a whole bunch of new partnerships. One of those is with Respin Health, which is a holistic menopause care platform founded by Halle Berry. There's a couple aspects of this new partnership. One is that Peloton has some menopause classes. There's 10 of these. They are instructed by Christine, Jocelyn, Susie, and Charlotte. There's a new Respin Health collection that you can find all of these in. In addition, Peloton has teamed up with Respin to do a research study. It is called the Peloton Respin Exercise and Symptoms Study, or PRESS. It's going to be an 8-week study, and they were taking the first 500 members who signed up. It filled up relatively quickly, but they were going to have access to that new program. Following the program, there was going to be a study that they put out probably around January. They were going to use the input and feedback from that, and they're going to come up with a Peloton by Respin menopause care program. Now, the one thing that we're not sure about yet is, Peloton talked about how the program is available now and linked to the collection of 10 classes. They did share kind of this is what you should do each week and how to structure it. But in Peloton world, that's not a program, right? A program is in the program section. It's got 8 weeks of classes. Here are the classes that you follow. You get credit and a badge. This is not it at this point. I've not seen any clarification on next year when they come out with the Peloton by Respin menopause care program. Is that going to be a true program in the Peloton app, or is that going to be something in the Respin app that you have to go over there and the program lives over there? They've not really clarified that yet, so we're going to have to wait and see in January where that shakes out. But there is going to be some sort of program. The question is where does that live? So yeah, lots more to come with that new Respin Health partnership.
Yes, I've heard a lot of people extremely interested in finding out more about that. So I'm sure Pelo Buddy will be the first to report.
We will continue to keep you updated on that.
Yes. So speaking of partnerships, on October 20th, Peloton will be coming out with a new partnership with the Hospital for Special Surgery, otherwise known as HSS. It's actually the #1 hospital in the US for orthopedics. So they're going to be launching 5 new collections as part of this initial launch. It's centered around the most common rehab needs that people have. So the 5 collections are going to be for runner's knee, new moms, office workers, tennis elbow, and bone health. So I think those will be fantastic resources for people that are in any of those situations. And I'm sure they will continue to add to those collections as well. But
yeah, and Peloton has said that, they're kind of they worked alongside the medical professionals in the hospital and use their expertise to help their instructor design the classes. So there will be Peloton classes and taught by the Peloton instructors, but I think the class plan and some of that, and I'm sure a lot of the information they shared during the class was designed in partnership with the hospital. And then, as Jamie just shared, one of the new focus areas or goals for the personalized plan was longevity. And that's something Peloton has been talking about a lot recently. They've been talking about health, wellness, health span, longevity. And to go along with that, they've actually launched a new podcast hosted by Matt Wilpers. It's called the Move for Life podcast. And the first episode discusses the science of longevity. The guest on that one was Dr. Kavita Patel, who's an internal medicine physician and on the wellness advisory board at Peloton. But in this first one, they just kind of talk about, what goes into longevity, why is it so important, how do genes play into it, and how much is under your control, what sort of data should you be looking at, and if you're in a certain age range, like when you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, how should you think about longevity? The podcast is around 40 minutes, so they really get into it. This is going to be an ongoing series. They haven't said how often they're going to drop, but there is a playlist on the YouTube, the Peloton YouTube channel to check that out. So keep an eye out for more. I believe the entire series is hosted by Matt Wilpers, but he may have different guests on each one, depending on what the topic is. So we'll be sure to share about more on that as it becomes available.
Yes. And adjacent to the new podcast, Peloton has launched the new Move for Life program. So again, as Chris mentioned, this is Peloton's overall first longevity program. And it's really designed to be an on-ramp for members to build a healthy routine. The description directly from Peloton is take steps toward your healthiest life. Move for Life is a 4-week program of energizing walks and body weight strength sessions designed to boost your mood, build confidence, and keep you moving at any age. So as their description says, it's a 4-week program to build members up to having 150 minutes worth of activity per week, which has been cited in several studies as the ideal amount of activity, or minimum, probably.
Minimum.
Yes. So it combines the moderate combo and the strength classes. So the cardio classes are all focused on walking, and those are new classes. And then the strength classes, they're pulling from existing classes from the on-demand Peloton library body length, body weight classes. And for those of you who participate, there will be a badge. I love badges, so I always like to call that out. There's going to be a badge for people completing 25 of the 28 available classes. So.
And this program is really interesting. If you want to check out different coaches, there's actually 20 different coaches who are teaching classes in this program. So there's a wide variety of coaches. Now, the one thing to know is if you're already have your routine down, this program is not designed for you. This is more designed for people who are trying to get their routine and just trying to up their the total amount of cardio they're doing. So if you're already doing 30-minute classes every day, you're already at that minimum. So, there's still benefit to taking it, but it's getting to where you already are. This is more designed for people who are not at 150 minutes of cardio a week plus strength, and kind of getting you into the routine there so that you can then grow from there for the future.
Or maybe you're getting restarted.
Exactly. And then Peloton shared their regular This Week at Peloton post on social media. They highlighted Katie Wong's 30-minute HIIT row boot camp, which was on Tuesday night. This was a series that started recently. It kicked off with a 2-for-1 with Andy, but Katie's going to continue more of these. Bex Gentry is going to teach the outdoor run club this week. It's at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Most of these in the past have been 30 minutes, but it looks like moving forward, they're going to have some 45-minute ones, and Bex is the first one to be 45 minutes this weekend. And then on Sunday, October 12th, Camilla is back with her signature series. This one is going to be in English, but as this whole second season is, and there is a 30-minute Panama ride that she'll be teaching. And then Callie Gullickson has a new 30-minute soundtrack strength club class. It was recorded last week. It came out on Sunday, but it was highlighted in this Week at Peloton. And then it wasn't highlighted in the post, but there are several new Latin and Hispanic Heritage Month classes. And then also Peloton will be celebrating UK Black History Month, which we'll cover a little bit more in a minute.
And now it's time for a little speculation. We've got Peloton has been teasing members. So attention, Peloton Swifties. We are certainly hoping that Peloton, at least they appear that they're going to have the Life of a Showgirl artist series featuring, celebrating, of course, her 12th album on 10/13. No surprise. We saw videos from Bex Gentry on her Instagram, and then Peloton captioning the post saying, looks like we're all in our showgirl era and our performance is just getting started. So they're definitely alluding to something that's coming. And there are a few other clips that they've just kind of flashed little bits and teases of, as they tend to do with some of these artist series. But I will be extremely interested to see who is teaching these classes. I would assume Bex would be, if they don't give Mariana a class, it will be a crime against humanity.
And I will say, like, this seemed like a little more than a clue. Like, one of the video clips literally flashed to the, the orange color of the album with 1013 in the background for like half a second. And the collection changed. Now, I will say by the time this comes out, there's a very good chance that the full details are available. So apologies if we missed this based on the recording time, but we'll be sure to follow up next week with the full actual class list and what took place, assuming, it's not out by the time we record.
Yeah, but it'll definitely be interesting with, Allie is obviously a big Swiftie, but with her own maternity leave and, I don't think Robin will probably do another ride. But
we'll see.
I'll certainly be taking every single class because I love it. So,
yeah. Well, this week we also saw an artist series with Ricky Martin. There were 7 different classes. Camila had a ride, Marcel had a run, Callie had a strength, Mariana had a yoga flow, Jess King had a walk plus run, Robin had a ride, and then Mariana actually had 2 classes. She had a run to round it out in Spanish. So that all took place Thursday. This is actually Peloton's second artist series with Ricky Martin. Back in 2020, there was the one that took place, and that had classes from Cody and Ross. So lots of artist series taking place this month.
Yes. And in addition to that, it is also Black History Month in the UK. So we've been celebrating with classes, the first ones that just launched. We'll mark the occasion again with special content. The first 2 classes released, there was a UK Legends Full Body Strength with Jocelyn that was released on the 3rd on demand. And there was also a 20-minute Black UK Legends ride that was live on October 7th with Leanne Hainsby Aldis. I will say that both of these classes did earn a special 2025 UK Black History Month badge. So another badge alert there. And we assume that they'll be adding additional classes throughout the month to celebrate.
Yep. And then this past Friday was World Mental Health Day, and there were at least 6 classes that took place to celebrate it. They might have snuck 1 or 2 more in there. We'll have a full list over on the Pelo Buddy website if you want to catch up. But Jeffrey had a 30-minute walk plus run in German, which was live. And then there was actually a 2-for-1 walk plus run with John Hosking and Bill Aldis, which was live. They also had several classes on demand. Anna had a 30-minute yoga plus Pilates. Christine had a 30-minute ride. Camila had a 30-minute ride in Spanish. Spanish, and Mariana had a 30-minute run in Spanish.
Once again, Peloton participated in Amazon's Prime Day sales. This past week, Amazon had their fall Amazon Prime Day, and they offered the original series Peloton Bike and Bike Plus at discounts during this sale, as well as many accessories and other options. Pretty much everything except for the new cross-training equipment had some sort of discount. It's important to note, again, that Peloton is no longer selling the original series. So if you wanted one of those original bike, something that's not part of the new cross-training series, you will now have to buy it from a third party, such as Amazon. But the discounts that we saw, just one example of the discounts that were seen on the original series Bike Plus, was selling it for $1,795, which is nearly 30% off, and is pretty much, it's the lowest price I can remember seeing on that since they increased the prices a couple of years ago. So It was definitely a good deal for anybody that was in the market trying to get the original bike. So
yeah. And the one thing I will clarify, they're not selling any new, but there are a handful of refurbished original series that I think you can sneak in and get on the Peloton website. But as far as new devices, it's all cross training all the time at Peloton. So, Amazon or Dick's or any of those third parties are kind of the only way to get those now until they run out of their supply. And then speaking of third party partners, they actually launched a new partnership. This again came out in that big news drop on Tuesday, but they've teamed up with Johnson Fitness and Wellness, who's a major fitness equipment retailer, which I've never heard of, but that's, I've not heard of a lot of things, but they apparently have over 100 stores nationwide. Have you heard of them before?
I feel like I'm not super familiar with them. I feel like I had a friend in Texas that worked for them.
Okay. I was going to say Texas, they had a lot of locations. In the Northeast, they had a lot of locations. So that's probably, where a lot of those hundreds are. But either way, you can now demo the devices at their showrooms or buy them online. They don't have the full lineup. They have the Cross Training Bike Plus, they have the Tread, and the Tread Plus. So it's those three devices that they're selling. But if you happen to be near one of those showrooms, you can go check it out and get your hands on the new cross training equipment. And they will not be selling any accessories. So if you want weights or mats or cycling shoes, you'll have to get those through Peloton. They're just selling the hardware themselves.
But I think it's always great for people to be able to touch and feel and see the products in person and test them out. So having more locations as the showrooms shut down is a great option for people that are in those areas.
Yep.
So. Well, Peloton Apparel has released a New York City Marathon collection, currently available on the Apparel website. They launched it with ads featuring marathoners Rad Lopez and Kirsten Ferguson modeling the gear. There are hoodies and sweatpants available in both black and white separately, not together. And also saw a graphic t-shirt available as well. They have a small mention of all 5 boroughs. So again, it's really focused more on the upcoming New York City Marathon. And they say run free, race strong is their quote. It does mention 2025, at least on the t-shirt. And that in addition to the marathon apparel, they've also launched a pace form collection that is agnostic to any races, but definitely targeted at the running community in terms of apparel, lots of leggings and just all kinds of runner gear that they've added to their recent collections.
Yeah, and then happy birthday to Kira Michelle, who celebrated a birthday this Friday. So happy birthday, Kira. And then with that, it is time for Instructors in the News. All
right. Well, I am issuing a community action alert because we need to support our girl, Ash Pryor. She is currently trying to get noticed by casting agents at retailer Torrid. You should check out her post on Instagram requesting the help of members and all of her followers. So let's flood them with tags and get Ash some attention. So many people have already commented and shared her story to really try to get their attention since she doesn't, have an agent. She can't get out there for the actual casting call. We're going to show the power of Peloton and help our girl out. If you're not familiar, Torrid is a fashion retailer specializing in plus size clothing. You can find it in malls as well as, of course, online. What part of Ash's post says, as one Peloton's first and only plus size fitness instructor, I'm taking my love for fashion out of the studio and submitting to be Torrid's next model. I'd love your support in helping Torrid see me and make it as a semi-finalist. And then she uses the hashtag Torrid Casting Call 2025. She looks absolutely stunning in her video where she talks about it. So we have trained for this. We vote, we get out, we do the things. Cody taught us. And then, of course,
Tunde.
Yeah, we walked with Cody. We ran with Tunde. So now it's time to, get the troops back in action for Ash.
Yeah. Well, and Hannah Corbin is promoting her book, Did You Stretch Though? Book. She's been saying it in quotes too. It's a guide. Guide and card book. But as part of her promotion, she's doing a little book tour and she's announced more of the dates. So she's going to be in Denver, Colorado on October 20th. She's going to be in Seattle on October 26th. She's going to be in Portland on October 27th. She's going to be in San Francisco on October 29th. She's going to be in Ridgewood, New Jersey on November 2nd. She's going to be in New York on November 3rd, Chicago on November 5th, Boston on November 8th, Atlanta on November 9th, and Houston on November 15th. So she's going to a lot of different areas. Most of those have links available. There's one or two where the registration isn't open yet, but keep your eye out for those because Hannah is coming to an area near you.
Oh, that sounds exhausting. But I thank you for the shout out on Atlanta, though. Hope maybe I'll see you there. So would love to go. I think that's a Sunday night, so you can go support our girl.
I will unfortunately be working out of town, but otherwise I would be there.
I know what you Okay. Well, another instructor in the news is Ben Aldis. He was recently featured in Tom's Guide in an article giving advice on how to become a morning person. Oh, I need to read this article from top to bottom. But Ben is quoted as saying that being a morning person means there's extra time in your day at the start of your day, which is when you're feeling most fresh to use as you would like. A couple of his tips on becoming a morning person is to focus on the night before and easily get to grips with a committed wind down routine. Dimming the lights, doing a quick stretch, and no screens before bed. So your body knows it's time to wind down. Be realistic with your wake up time. Don't aim to get up 2 hours earlier. Kind of ease into it. Set your clothes out the night before. So there's less decisions to be made. And have something booked early that you can look forward to give you motivation to get up. And he said the biggest win is don't press the snooze on the alarm. So it's very clear I'm doing all of this pretty much wrong. So I will try to take his advice, and I'm trying to get up and work out in the mornings. And
easier said than done.
I know. All my friends are early birds, and they're long done before I even wake up. So
I'll take the 8:30 p.m. live over the 8:30 a.m. live any day.
Same, for sure.
Well, to round out our instructors in the news, we've shared previously that Cliff Dwinger was going to be back on The Voice in Germany. He competed in 2018, but he's in the show this year. And his Blind Edition first episode aired this week. There is a segment featuring him, and he talked about how his work at Peloton kind of prepared him for that, bringing the energy and the crowd involvement. And they highlighted some of the, classes in the studio. So Peloton got a nice highlight, but over on his social media site, it's only airing in Germany, but he shared some ways that people outside of Germany can watch, an Amazon Fire Stick using a VPN like ExpressVPN, or a site called joyn.de. He's got a list over on his social media. So if you want to try to watch The Voice in Germany and see Cliff on that's starting this week.
Well, and hopefully he makes it to the voting rounds. I'm not super familiar with The Voice, but you'll have to give us a red alert to figure out how we can vote internationally if that's an option.
Yeah. And now it's time for class picks of the week. And our first pick this week was Matt Wilpers, who had a 45-minute Power Zone ride. This came to on the October 2nd at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. This came from AZ Onion, who said zone 4 and 5 pushes and the 90s playlist was spot on. We then had Alex Karwoski and his 30-minute 90s rock row, also from the 2nd at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. This came from Gwen Gets To, who said this class had great music and was structured with increasingly difficult intervals. It was challenging but fun. And then Dennis Morden had a 30-minute reset. That's his yoga and ride series that you're supposed to pair together. The first one was on October 3rd at 7:30 a.m. Eastern. This came from Sam Miracle, who said he was so grounded in this session.
Next up, we have Cody Rigsby's 20-minute K-pop Demon Hunters ride, which was live on October 3rd. At 3 p.m. Eastern. This came to us from Bertha C. Runs MD. He let the music shine, and I LOL'd when he was singing along and abruptly stopped to say a bunch of Korean words I don't know. Next up, we've got Sam Yo's 10-minute K-pop Demon Hunters Arms and Light Weights. This dropped on demand, I believe, October 3rd at 3 p.m. Eastern also. This came to us from multiple people, Spin Loving Mama and Red Hawk Rider. They said it's so fun and thoughtfully planned out. We trained to be Saja boys and sealed the Haman. I was going to say, I haven't seen the K-pop Demon Hunters myself personally, so I know I butchered that, but I do know it's extremely popular because our next pick is also Robin Arzon's 20-minute K-pop Demon Hunters run. That was at 5:30 p.m. Eastern on October 3rd. This came to us from Gwen Gets To. She said, my kids have been singing these songs for weeks. Glad I can get into the action.
And then Charlotte Wiedenbach had a 45-minute German rock ride from October 4th at 9 a.m. Eastern. This came from A. Hayes 8, who said just a great ride with great music. Then Kira Michelle had a 30-minute advanced beginner yoga flow from October 4th at noon. This came to us from Amajar 3, who said used blocks to focus on good form. And then Hannah Corbin had a 45-minute alternative rock ride from the 4th at 4 p.m. Eastern from Amy M.S. Chalk, who said good music from Hannah.
Next up, we have Nico Serrani with a 20-minute Disney yoga flow in English dropped at midnight on October 5th. That came to us from both Gwen Gets To and Amajar 3. Nico chose upbeat Disney hits for this class, and the flow was perfect. We also have Benny Adami, who's his 30-minute disco ride from October 5th at 9 a.m. Eastern. This came to us from Eric Rides PPC. Benny was out of a cannon for this one, coming back from High Rocks. Class energy was off the charts. Music was awesome, and the efforts were real.
And that one was in English.
Yes. And Rebecca Kennedy's 45-minute full body strength from October 5th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. This came to us from Steph Otan. Constant movement.
And then Maddie had a 10-minute core strength class on October 6th that dropped at midnight. This came to us from Gwen Gets To, who said, I love the slow work in this particular core class. It's different but highly effective. I've already done this class multiple times. And then Christine had a 30-minute sprint intervals menopause. This is one of those classes from the Respin Health Partnership. That class, I'm sorry, I need to double check what the time was on that one. That came to us at October 6th. That was a midnight release. And that came to us from Molly HJ2, who said, excited for this new offering from Peloton and the continuation of her sprint intervals classes. And then Ash Pryor had a 15-minute K-pop Demon Hunter row. This one class came out a couple days after the others. This one was on October 7th, a midnight release that came to us from Bertha C. Runs MD, who said perfect vibes.
Next up, we have John Hosking with his 30-minute 2010s run, which was from October 7th at 8 a.m., one of his new time slots. And that recommendation came from me, Pedal to Paris. I always recommend all of John's classes because he's amazing, but this had a fantastic playlist that I was absolutely loving. We also have Katie Wong's 30-minute HIIT row boot camp from October 7th at 6 p.m. Eastern time. That came to us from Bertha C. Rums, MD. She said super fast paced and flew by. Shout out to Andy, who suggested this format for the row. We also have Callie Gullickson's 30-minute bike boot camp, also from October 7th at 8 a.m. Eastern. This came to us from Amajar 3, who said, great workout and tons of fun.
Nice. Well, that wraps up the news for the week. It's been a busy news week, and I feel like it's going to be a little busy for the next couple of weeks. You know, there's still a lot of stuff coming out of that big press release 2 weeks ago where they just decided how much news can we fit in one day, and they really crammed in a lot there. And, you know, new collections coming out, new classes. So it's definitely a busy fall for Peloton.
Yes, I think we're starting to see the impact of Peter Stern and some of his influence and new ideas coming in. So it's an exciting time. I love a lot of the ideas, and I'm really anxious to see what comes out next.
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for listening. We'll be back next week to bring you next week's worth of news. But from me here in Atlanta, thanks for listening, and we'll see everyone next time.
And from me also in Atlanta, thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching Pelo Buddy TV, your source for everything Peloton, by the community, for the community. Work out with us using the Pelo Buddy TV leaderboard tag. And don't forget to find us on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Pelo Buddy. Don't forget that we have a podcast available. Just search for Pelo Buddy wherever you get your podcasts from. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode.